So going into the SEC, the Oklahoma Sooners have not been getting the respect they deserve for being the blue blood program that they are. Hence being, you're going in with Texas, and a lot of people say Texas is the better program going into the SEC. They're going to have the success. But just the other day, there was a college football expert by the name of David Pollock. You might have heard of him. Small talking head out there. Anyways, he had an opportunity to talk about Oklahoma and Texas going into the SEC. And quite frankly, he said something that shocked me about Oklahoma because you don't normally see the media talk about Oklahoma in this light. So before I play it for you guys, let's do something. Hit that like, hit the subscribe button, join the discussion. Let me know what your guys' thoughts were around David Pollock's comments around Oklahoma. But again, going into the SEC, they were talking about what was going on with Texas and this idea that Texas is basically going to lead in the SEC and be a better program than Oklahoma. So let me go ahead and play that for you guys. Listen to, I can't remember who it is that's asking him the question. He starts off talking about Texas and then dives right into Oklahoma.
About Texas. First year in the SEC, and they have Michigan on the road in week 2, which hats off to Texas for keeping that game on the schedule when you're entering the SEC in your first year. Steve Sarkisian led the Longhorns to the college football playoff a year ago. They returned their quarterback, Quinn Ewers. We haven't seen Quinn play a complete season yet, but he still threw for 3,400 yards, 22 touchdowns a year ago. Right now, they have the second best odds to win the SEC on almost every site that you check out. Meanwhile, Oklahoma down there 8, 9, 10, is Texas that much better suited than Oklahoma entering year 1 right now, or are things going to be a little bit more even when both teams come in?
First of all, Oklahoma got hosed with the schedule.
They did. They did.
Absolutely hosed. Texas comes in, and we talked about those top teams in the SEC. Yeah, guess what? They avoid them all, but they host Georgia. They got a favorable schedule. Here's what I don't like, David, and this is going to get me frustrated, and this is going to make me sweat probably here in a few seconds. I can't stand the people that are like, I can't believe Texas. They're getting Texas, and they get Oklahoma. The better program is Oklahoma. Let me be clear. The better program is Oklahoma. They went to 4 college football playoffs. Texas went to 1. And that year, by the way, they lost to Oklahoma. Oklahoma's 7-3 against Texas. They've been a much better program overall than Texas. Texas had a great year. Texas, by the way, Texas with NIL is on the rise.
So some of these comments that David Pollock made actually intrigued me a little bit, specifically talking about how Oklahoma has pretty well dominated Texas, and he kind of gave you a 10-year outlook. I give you the full 20-year outlook. Oklahoma has beat Texas 17 times in the past 25 games that they have played. This is back since 2000. Texas has only won 8 of those games. If you look at the past 10 years, Oklahoma is 8-4. Obviously, there is a conference championship game in there where Oklahoma met Texas there, and Oklahoma won that game as well. And so I think there's this narrative that when Brent Venables came to Oklahoma and he had a 6-7 season, people quickly forgot about Texas's 5-7 season with Steve Sarkisian in the first year. Then Oklahoma comes out this past season and wins 10 games, but Texas goes to the college football playoffs. And as David Pollock said, Oklahoma's been to 4 of them. And in the year Texas gets to the college football playoffs, Oklahoma beats Texas. And so you look at it and you kind of scratch your head because you look at what Texas is going into the SEC with. And yes, I get it. When you look at what Texas does on the recruiting trail, they're a very good recruiting team. They have not done anything with the talent that they do recruit there. And I'll give it to Steve Sarkisian. I have been on the Sark boat saying that he has came into Texas and fixed some of the core issues that have been killing Texas from the inside. And it looks like he's got the boosters under control over there. So for all we know, maybe Texas is going in the right direction. But to act like they are the better program than Oklahoma going into the SEC, Oklahoma is a true blue blood. I mean, when you go to Winspedia and you look at just some overall percentages for Oklahoma and what they have over Texas, Texas only has 2 boxes over Oklahoma. 2. And it's total wins all time, which Oklahoma's only behind in 4 games. And you would imagine if Oklahoma doesn't drop a goose egg and does 6-7 that one year, they probably have more wins all time than Texas. They have they have 2 more bowl games than Oklahoma. Like, everything else, Oklahoma, 7 national championships. I want Oklahoma fans to understand this. The media has beat Oklahoma up, and it's frustrating at times because, again, when I look at what Texas brought in through the transfer portal, they lost a couple wide receivers this year to the draft. And yeah, you're returning Quinn Ewers. When you look at it, Jackson Arnold really hasn't done anything. So yeah, Quinn Ewers on paper probably is the better quarterback until Jackson Arnold hits the field and actually does something for Oklahoma. I guess you can't say Jackson Arnold's the better quarterback when he hasn't really played as a meaningful starter for Oklahoma. So as of right now, Texas has the better quarterback. By the end of the season, that's probably not going to be the case. But even if you're saying, well, Texas has a better quarterback, Oklahoma's got the better weapons to surround a young quarterback. They have a better running game. They have better receivers. The only thing that people really look at Oklahoma and knock them on is this offensive line where, yeah, you lost Caden Green to transfer portal. But if he was your only returning starter, you replaced him with Fabechi Wewu, who was a freshman All-American. You've also got potentially Troy Everett coming back, who played some really good starting minutes for Oklahoma. You've also got Branson Hickman coming in from SMU, who was, and yeah, I get it, all of that has to gel, but Bill Beanbo has never showed us an offensive line that hasn't gelled, that hasn't been able to put it together. But I look at Texas and say, well, I have concerns because they lost multiple guys on that defensive line. And Oklahoma had the better transfer portal class than Texas did. I mean, and Texas got a couple good defensive linemen out of the portal. They got a couple kids from Arizona. They got Jermaine Lole from Louisville, who was originally committed to Oklahoma. You guys remember that whole fiasco. But Texas secondary guys, it's hurting. And although they got some really good guys on the recruiting trail, you've got Andrew Makuba in the transfer portal and Javian Cole, and that's really about it. So you got to look at Texas secondary and go, are they going to be able to win in the SEC with a secondary that just everybody's got questions around? That's my deal. So I look at what David Pollack said, and I go, I agree. People are discrediting Oklahoma. They're giving Texas a little too much credit for that first year going to the college football playoffs and then acting like they're going to continue that success going into the SEC when they have a really, like, Texas has got an easy schedule on paper, but I think it's going to be a really hard schedule by the end of the year. I think Florida's a better team than a lot of people are making them out to be. Kentucky and Mark Stoops, that is a physical team every single year. They have to go to Kyle Field and renew a rivalry with Texas A&M, and you can bet your bottom dollar that Texas A&M is going to be ready to give the smackdown to Texas. Not to mention, they have to go to Ann Arbor with Michigan. Then they have to play Georgia at home, the team that has been winning national championship after national championship. And to act like they're going to be second in the SEC right behind Georgia, potentially making that SEC championship game is a little bit of a stretch. And to put Oklahoma at number 8, not saying they need to be in the SEC championship game, but to put them at number 8 just feels like a little bit of a disrespect to a team that has been a blue blood in college football. The experts have not been on Oklahoma's side, but Oklahoma has an opportunity to go out there and prove those experts wrong this year. So, guys, I want to hear from y'all. Make sure you guys are joining the discussion, jumping down in the comments below, giving me your thoughts. And if you guys have not already, make sure you guys hit that like and you hit that subscribe button.